Michael, do you renounce Satan and all his works?
I do renounce him.
The American mob wasn't born in a courtroom or a prison cell. It was forged in the backrooms of speakeasies, where the scent of bathtub gin mixed with the metallic tang of blood money. For over a century, this invisible empire operated like a dark mirror to America's soul, ambition twisted into greed, loyalty weaponized into tyranny. What you know about the mob is a fairy tale. Tonight we drag the truth into the light. Through never-before-heard wiretap recordings, interviews with retired hitmen, and FBI agents who risked their lives, we'll expose how organized crime didn't just infiltrate America, it built parts of it. When Prohibition became law in 1920, Al Capone was a 21-year-old nobody. By 1925, he ruled Chicago. His secret? A ruthless understanding of human weakness. Capone's men paid cops to turn a blind eye to his trucks, double the average officer's salary. He flooded neighborhoods with bootleg liquor, then extorted shopkeepers for protection money from his own enforcers. By 1929, his empire raked in $100 million a year, over $1.5 billion today. But the St. Valentine's Day massacre wasn't about profit. It was psychological warfare. 7 rival gangsters were lined up in a North Side garage and slaughtered with Tommy guns. Their bodies collapsed like broken puppets. The message? Defy Capone, and death follows. Yet his downfall came not from bullets, but bookkeepers. The IRS traced his untaxed cash to a stash of ledgers hidden in a brothel's walls. Even emperors of crime kneel to bureaucracy. While Capone brawled in Chicago, a quieter revolution brewed in New York. Charles Lucky Luciano, a Sicilian orphan turned kingpin, hated the old world rules. "These mustache Petes want to talk about honor? Honor don't pay the bills," he growled. In 1931, Luciano invited Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, and other Jewish and Irish mobsters to a midnight meeting at Manhattan's Waldorf Astoria. There, he proposed the Commission, a board of directors for crime. Territories were split. Italians got the docks, Jews the casinos, Irish the unions. Democracy, mob style. But dissenters paid dearly. When Salvatore Maranzano, the last boss of bosses, objected, Luciano's men stabbed him 20 times, slashed his throat, and left, him slumped in an office chair. By the 1950s, the mob didn't need guns to rule. They had unions. Jimmy Hoffa, the fiery Teamsters president, funneled $1 billion in pension funds to mob-owned casinos, trucking companies, and strip clubs. Need a skyscraper built? The concrete came from mob-controlled companies. Want to strike a deal? The Midwest Bank, a suitcase of cash carried by Hoffa's enforcers, could make problems vanish. Even JFK's 1960 victory had whispers of mob fingerprints. Chicago's outfit allegedly stuffed ballot boxes to swing Illinois. But loyalty cuts both ways. When Hoffa threatened to talk, he vanished from a Detroit parking lot in 1975. No body, no trial, just a chilling lesson. The mob giveth and the mob taketh away. Joining the mob wasn't a job, it was a sacrament. At a dimly lit Brooklyn social club, recruits pricked their fingers, smeared blood on a saint's card and swore, "If I betray my brothers, may I burn like this saint." Then they torched the card. Omerta, the code of silence, wasn't just a rule, it was religion. Betrayal meant more than death. In 1963, a lowly soldier named Joe Valachi cracked. Fearing a hit, he sat before a Senate committee and exposed La Cosa Nostra, our thing. For the first time, America heard words like capo, consigliere, and made man. Valachi's reward? A prison cell and a $100,000 bounty on his head. The code held until fear outweighed loyalty.
He had the knife and the gun on the table. I repeated some words he told me, but I only could explain what he meant. I could repeat the words, but they were in Sicilian.
They were what?
In Sicilian.
In Sicilian.
Sicilians.
You repeated, but you didn't understand what they meant.
Right. Then they explained.
They explained what they meant. Who explained? Maranzana?
Well, he could talk pretty good English, Maranzan.
The mob's violence wasn't random, it was punctuation. A body dumped in a river meant stay silent. A corpse with a fish in its mouth, you're a rat. But some hits were pure poetry. In 1976, Chicago outfit enforcer Tony Spilatro, the butcher, inspiration for Casino's Nicky Santoro, was lured to a basement, beaten with bats and buried alive. Why? He'd drawn too much heat in Vegas. Even monsters have rules. But Spilotro's fate paled next to Carmine Galante's. The cigar-chomping Bonanno boss was dining at a Brooklyn cafe when 3 masked men stormed in. Galante died mid-bite, his cigar still clamped between his teeth. The killers left his meal untouched, a final insult. Violence wasn't just business, it was branding.
The bloody history of John Rosselli ended here. His disfigured body found stuffed in an oil drum floating in Dumbfoundling Bay. But the mystery surrounding his death goes on and grows deeper. And the ominous connections that tie him with organized crime, and with gambling in pre-Castro Cuba, and with the CIA, and with attempts on the lives of 2 heads of state, leave questions that will probably remain unanswered.
For 40 years, J. Edgar Hoover swore the Mafia was a myth. Why? Some say the mob had dirt on his rumored cross-dressing. Others claim arrogance. Meanwhile, Meyer Lansky, the mob's accountant, perfected money laundering. He bought Swiss, banks, Cuban casinos, and Las Vegas slots, turning dirty cash into clean millions. In 1957, reality bit Hoover. New York State Police raided a sleepy upstate town called Appalachian. Inside a secluded mansion, they found 60 mob bosses in silk suits feasting on lobster. Limos with plates from 15 states clogged the driveway. Hoover's lie collapsed. The FBI's war on the mob began, and so did the mob's war on the FBI. Meet John Gotti, the Teflon Don. A Queen Street thug turned celebrity gangster. While other mobsters hid in shadows, Gotti basked in the spotlight. $3,000 Brioni suits, Cuban cigars, press conferences on courthouse steps where he'd sneer at prosecutors, "You're a disgrace to your mother." But Gotti's flashy reign hid fatal flaws. To dodge FBI bugs, he plotted hits while walking his Doberman, Capone, through Little Italy. The Bureau just wired the street lamps. In 1990, after Gotti's crew accidentally whacked a bystander, a mechanic named Edward Garofalo, the neighborhood turned. "Even we got rules," muttered a retired hitman. Then came the betrayal. Sammy the Bull Gravano, Gotti's right-hand man, a killer with 19 notches on his belt, stunned the courtroom. "He's a liar," Gravano spat, pointing at Carci. The Dapper Don's empire crumbled. His final act? Serving life in a Colorado Supermax, brawling over a smuggled salami. The lesson? Pride isn't just a sin, it's a death sentence. Before Vegas glitz, there was Havana decadence. Meyer Lansky turned Cuba into a mob paradise. Casinos, brothels, and cocaine flowing like rum. The dictator Batista got 30% of every slot machine. But New Year's Eve 1958 changed everything. Fidel Castro's rebels stormed Havana, smashing mob casinos with sledgehammers. Lansky fled with $3 million in a suitcase, muttering, "Cuba's dead." The CIA later recruited mob bosses to assassinate Castro. Plots included poisoned cigars and exploding conch shells. All failed. The irony? The mob birthed modern Vegas, but lost Cuba to a communist with a better grip on power. The American mob story isn't about crime. It's a mirror, a reflection of greed's timeless pull and power's corrosive glow. They built empires in darkness, but their true legacy lives in the light, a warning etched in subpoenas, surveillance, tapes, and the quiet courage of those who said no. The mob is gone. But its ghosts linger, whispering the oldest lesson of all. Every empire falls, even the ones we never saw coming. If you think the mob's gone, open your eyes. They're just wearing better disguises, like subscribe, and hit that bell, because the truth isn't history, it's hiding in plain sight.